Have you ever experienced the pain of rejection? That moment when everything seems to crumble and you start questioning your own worth? Whether it's in a relationship, a job opportunity, or even within a social group, rejection hurts. But what if I told you that rejection could actually become your greatest ally? What many see as a weakness can transform into a powerful advantage, if you know how to play this psychological game. In today's video, you'll discover how rejection can be the key to earning respect, authority, and even attracting more people into your life. We'll use principles from reverse psychology and Stoicism to completely change how you handle the word no. Instead of seeing it as an obstacle, you'll learn to turn it into a stepping stone. I'll share 9 lessons that will help you flip the script and use rejection to your advantage. By the end of this video, you'll never see a no the same way again. So, pay close attention, because this could change your life. Lesson 1. Rejection doesn't define you, it defines the other person. When most people face rejection, their first thought is, "What's wrong with me?" But that question is completely misguided. Rejection says far more about the person rejecting you than it does about you. Everyone carries their own set of beliefs, experiences, expectations, and insecurities that shape their choices. When someone says no to you, it doesn't mean you lack value. It simply means that person, in that moment, has a different perspective or priority. Think about it. If you offer someone an amazing gift, but they don't want it or don't like it, is the problem with the gift or with their taste? The same goes for rejection. It's not about your worth, it's about the other person's limited perspective or preferences. Stoicism teaches us to focus only on what's within our control, and you can't control someone else's mind or expectations. What you can control is how you respond. Instead of asking, "Why am I not enough?" ask yourself, what does this rejection reveal about this person and their circumstances? Often, being rejected is a sign that you're in the wrong place, surrounded by people who don't recognize your true value. And that's not a failure. It's an opportunity to seek out environments where you'll truly be appreciated. When you stop taking rejection personally, it stops being a weakness and becomes a tool for growth. Freeing yourself from the fear of rejection allows you to live without needing others' approval. Lesson 2. Rejection can make you more desirable. It might sound strange, but rejection can actually increase your value. This happens because of a psychological principle called the scarcity effect. People tend to value what isn't easily available. Think about those times when someone showed excessive interest in you, whether it was a friend, a romantic partner, or even an overly persistent salesperson. How did you react? Most people feel uncomfortable when they sense someone is desperate for acceptance. It comes off as insecure and sends the message that the person doesn't have better options. On the other hand, when someone remains confident and unfazed by rejection, it creates an attractive effect. The human brain associates high value with things that aren't easily attained. In other words, the less desperate you seem for approval, the more interesting you become. In relationships, for example, reverse psychology shows that those who don't desperately seek validation tend to attract more interest. Confident people don't beg for acceptance, and that's exactly what makes them more desirable. The same applies in business. If a client senses you're not desperate to close a deal, they automatically see more value in your offer. After all, if you're not chasing them, it must mean you have something truly valuable to offer. The key here isn't to fake disinterest, but to genuinely understand that rejection doesn't diminish your worth. The more you adopt this mindset, the more people will see you as someone of high status, someone who can't be easily won over. And ironically, that's exactly what makes them want you even more. Lesson 3. Mastering rejection means mastering the interaction. Most people see rejection as a blow to their self-esteem, a sign that they're not good enough. But what if I told you that rejection could be a powerful tool to put you in control of any interaction? Rejection isn't just something that happens to you. It can be used to your advantage to change the game and take a position of power. Think about any kind of negotiation, whether in business, friendships, or relationships. Who holds more value? The person constantly seeking acceptance, or the one who has the confidence to say no and maintain high standards? The answer is obvious. When you learn to reject what doesn't serve you, whether it's a bad offer, a one-sided relationship, or any situation that doesn't align with your values, you start dictating the rules of the dynamic. There's an interesting psychological factor at play here. Humans tend to want what seems harder to obtain. By showing that you won't settle for just anything and that you have clear standards, people begin to see you as someone of high value. This applies to everything. In negotiations, the person willing to walk away without hesitation holds the power. In relationships, the person who refuses to settle for less than they deserve automatically becomes more desirable. Stoicism teaches us not to react impulsively to our emotions in the moment, and this is one of the most powerful tools you can develop. Don't see rejection as a failure. See it as a natural filter that steers you away from what's not worth your time and toward what truly matters. Learn to reject first, stand firm in your boundaries, and keep your standards high. Whoever controls rejection controls the interaction, and, ultimately, their own life. Lesson 4. Silence is one of the most powerful tools you have. Few people truly understand the power of silence. Most feel the need to react immediately when faced with rejection, whether by trying to justify themselves, seeking approval, or insisting on changing the other person's mind. But the secret lies in doing the opposite. The more you can control your response, the greater your power to influence. Silence can be more impactful than any argument. When you receive a no, and simply don't react with desperation or a need for validation, you send a message of self-confidence and self-sufficiency. And you know what happens? It creates doubt in the other person. The human brain is wired to question decisions when it senses the other side isn't shaken. Did I make the right choice? Why isn't this person trying to convince me? Do they have more options than I thought? These are the thoughts that start swirling in the mind of the person who rejected you. This principle is used in both reverse psychology and negotiations. In many cases, by refusing to fill the silence with justifications, the other person ends up reconsidering their stance. In business, silence can be a strategic tool to create tension and make the other side give in. In relationships, it shows that your self-esteem doesn't depend on others' approval. But be careful. Silence isn't the same as arrogance or disdain. It should be used with emotional intelligence, as a sign that you don't need to beg for anything. While most people drown in the noise of insecurity, those who master silence stand out as true leaders. In the end, real power isn't about talking too much. It's about knowing when words are unnecessary. Lesson 5. If rejection is constant, maybe you're in the wrong place. If you feel like you're being rejected repeatedly, the problem might not be you. It might be the audience you're targeting. Often, we try to be accepted by people, groups, or environments that simply aren't aligned with who we are or what we have to offer. The key is recognizing when we're pushing in the wrong direction. Imagine trying to sell a luxury car to someone who only wants an affordable model. No matter how much you highlight the car's features, that person will never see its value because it's not what they're looking for. The same applies in life. If you're facing constant rejection, maybe it's time to stop trying to fit in where you don't belong and start looking for where you'll truly be valued. Society teaches us to seek acceptance as if it's a measure of worth. But many of the most successful people were rejected countless times before finding the right environment to thrive. J.K. Rowling had her book turned down by multiple publishers before it became a global phenomenon. Steve Jobs was pushed out of his own company before returning to revolutionize technology. In these cases, rejection didn't mean failure. It meant redirection towards success. Instead of insisting on being accepted by those who don't see your value, direct your efforts toward those who truly understand and appreciate what you have to offer. If you feel like you're constantly fighting for acceptance, stop and ask yourself, am I really where I want to be, or am I just seeking validation? Rejection can be a sign to adjust your course. Stop trying to change to fit in and start seeking the space where you'll be recognized for who you truly are. When you adopt this mindset, rejection stops being an obstacle and becomes a natural filter, separating what doesn't matter from what truly does. Lesson 6. Rejection reveals who's really worth your time. As uncomfortable as it is, rejection has a hidden power that many people overlook. It acts as a true test of value for the people around you. In our eagerness to be accepted, we often fail to notice who truly cares for us and who's just around for convenience. But rejection changes the game. When you go through a tough time, masks fall off, and it becomes clear who's really by your side. Think about it. Those who genuinely care about you don't disappear at the first sign of trouble. They don't stick around for interest, status, or benefits. They stay because they see your value beyond the circumstances. On the other hand, those who vanish at the first rejection show they were never truly connected to you. only to what you could offer. Rejection, then, acts as a natural filter, weeding out fragile relationships and leaving only those that are truly worth it. And that's a valuable opportunity. Instead of fearing rejection, see it as a tool to build a stronger social circle, filled with people who support you for who you are, not for what you can provide. Lesson 7. Turn rejection into a psychological challenge. Rejection can be a blow to your ego, but it can also become a springboard for growth. It all depends on how you choose to respond. Instead of giving in to discouragement, try seeing every no as an invitation to evolve. Think of it like a game. Every time you're rejected, instead of seeing it as a failure, turn it into a personal challenge. How can you improve? What can you do differently next time? This shift in mindset transforms rejection into fuel for your growth. Take someone who didn't pass a job interview, for example. What can they do? Sit and complain? Or analyze what can be improved and come back more prepared for the next opportunity? The second option will always be the most powerful. The same goes for any situation in life. If a no discourages you, you lose. But if it pushes you forward, you grow. This strategy creates a powerful effect. The more you use rejection to challenge yourself, the more resilient and prepared you become. In the end, rejection stops being an obstacle and becomes a stepping stone to your success. Lesson 8. Use rejection as fuel for your motivation. It's easy to see rejection as something negative, but what if it's actually one of the greatest drivers of success? The difference between those who give up and those who triumph lies exactly in how they handle rejection. Rejection doesn't define your worth. Your response to it does. Great figures like Michael Jordan and Walt Disney were doubted countless times before achieving recognition. What set them apart? They didn't let the no's paralyze them. Instead, they used every rejection as a reason to go further, refine their skills, and prove to themselves that they were capable. You can do the same. Instead of letting rejection weaken you, turn it into the push that gets you out of your comfort zone. If someone tells you you're not good enough, prove them wrong. If one door closes, use it as motivation to create new opportunities. At the end of the day, rejection is inevitable. What really matters is what you choose to do with it. You can see it as an obstacle or as a springboard. The choice is in your hands. Lesson 9. True strength lies in not depending on others' approval. Have you ever stopped to think about how much others' opinions influence your decisions? Often, without realizing it, we live seeking acceptance, as if our worth depended on what others think of us. But the truth is, true strength comes from freeing yourself from this need for external validation. When you base your choices on others' expectations, you end up handing over control of your life to them. You become a prisoner of approval, afraid to disappoint or fail. But real power lies in being authentic, in acting according to your own principles, without being tied to external judgment. This doesn't mean ignoring valuable advice or becoming indifferent to the world around you. On the contrary, it's about developing an internal filter that distinguishes what adds value from what only drains your energy. If you constantly need others' approval to feel good, your self-esteem becomes vulnerable. But when you learn to trust yourself, criticism loses its power to shake you, and rejection stops being an obstacle to your growth. The Stoics taught that we can't control what people think, only how we respond. And it's precisely this ability to stand firm, independent of external opinions, that sets apart those who live in peace from those who live in the shadow of others' approval. True freedom happens when you realize that your self-esteem can't depend on likes, compliments, or external recognition. What really matters is what you think about yourself. When you understand this, you start attracting people who genuinely connect with your essence, not just with what you can offer. So, tell me, have you ever had an experience that made you realize the weight of external approval? How was that process for you? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if this video resonated with you, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. On the screen now, there are more videos that can transform the way you think. See you in the next one.